Alright, in this video we're going to be covering something that every XJ owner, especially in the Northeast, probably has to consider at one time or another. So today we're going through something that every Northeast XJ owner would most likely go through. Rust. And rot. If I was wheeling the other weekend and I had a tree come up right through here, so I was like, crap, I gotta fix that. So I knew I was gonna have to do some floor pans in this eventually. I was hoping not to do it as soon as I did, but it looks like nature made the decision for me. So what I've gone ahead and done off camera was obviously remove the carpet, remove all the seats, which is a whole other story in itself. We'll cover that later. But basically all the seats are gone. Carpet's gone. I actually vacuumed up. I've done a little bit of chipping away and stuff like that. If you do have rotted floor pans, it's not the end of the world. Now some people might think it's time to junk the Jeep and move on. As long as the unibody's in good shape, and even still, sometimes you can get away with repairing that as well if you're handy enough. There's options. You have options for floor pans. There's a couple companies. I know Quadratech sells, I believe, their own stamped version. There's a couple other companies out there. The company I went with was Classic to Current Fabrication. They're, I believe, right in Detroit. And they're reasonably priced. I don't remember exactly what I paid, but I believe you can get all 4 floor pans for about $200 shipped. That's front and rear, and then you just got to fill in the blanks. The fitment so far has been okay, but just like any floor pan, any vehicle, you're going to need to modify it. So I'm going to do some light covering of that in here in this video. I'm not going to show you every single thing because this has kind of been done to death, but at the same time, you kind of need to know what you're getting yourself into and how far you want to go with this. I've seen people tack weld and then seam seal. I've seen people rivet. I've seen people, tack stitch the entire panel in. So there's no 100% right way to do it. Everybody's going to tell you their way is the best. I'm going to show you the way I did it because I've actually tried 2 different ways to do this, and I've had different results both times. So, you got to pick your poison. Difference between these 2 panels is on this panel, I put the panel down and I tried to cut the factory floor pan to meet the replacement floor pan. Now, it didn't work so well. The fitment wasn't right. I pushed it, I cut it, and then found out I cut it too short, and that's why you see these extension panels here, which I have to finish. Now, on this side, if you look, I did something a little different. Instead of cutting the factory floor pan to meet the new panel, I cut about 1 inch below the top of the panel and gave myself room to work. So then that way I can hammer this home, form it to how I want. I can tack stitch everything in, and on the back side underneath, I can form the existing floor pan to the new pan, tack it in place, and then seal it. So that way it's sealed on both sides, because I'm going to seam seal this side, and I'm going to seam seal the back side. So something to keep in mind, don't do what I did. Now this is a big mistake on my part. I went and shot foam in my between my rockers and my inner sills. This was a mistake for a few different things. This holds moisture in, and so if you go in water, it's literally just going to soak it up and hold that moisture against the metal, prematurely making that metal rust out. Case in point. Second is if you ever decide to weld new floor pans in, this stuff catches on fire really easily, and it burns and it smells, and it's probably not very healthy. I have to take frequent breaks because I have all this crap in here. There's some things you got to keep an eye out for on the driver's side, more so than the passenger side. On the driver's side, along the unibody, which is right underneath here, on the inside is where the brake line, the fuel line, your evap lines, all run the entire length of the vehicle. The reason I know is I accidentally melted my brake line welding in a piece of support for a weak spot in my unibody. Go figure. So the first thing I'm going to do to start prepping the panel, the replacement panel, is I'm going to remove the seat bracket. I'm going to slightly trim here. I want to keep this as intact as possible because what I want to do is recreate this using some sheet metal. So I'm going to try to fab up a set and replace this really rusted stuff. Now you can totally do this with just hand tools and or like electric grinders and stuff like that, but this guy wants to go wheeling, so let's speed up the process. Now, this one came out a little, this one took a little bit more fight, but for the most part I saved it. Maybe a little bracket there, but I can flatten these out. When I say save it, like I said, just use it as the general shape. But this is garbage anyway. I'm going to go ahead, put the new panel down, push it down as far as I can. I might have to hammer this raised part down. I must have came down. Ooh, Jesus. Yeah, I'm going to hammer this down, get this flat, put the new panel over, and trace out where the new panel is. Panel's in, and like I said, these aren't form fit. They're not going to fit in 100%. What you need to do is cut out the old panel, and then kind of, you know, this is pliable. You can move it around, form it into place, but what we're going to do is cut below the lip here about 1 inch, so that way you can actually literally push the metal against the existing metal and form it to it. And I'm gonna tack stitch. Okay, now we got a rough outline of where you got to cut. Once again, I'm going to cut down here, down below, so that way the new metal will be able to push against the 1 inch that's left and butt weld. Well, anyway, we're going to do a rough cut. Now, once again, if you guys have wires under your unibody or anything that's under the unibody, this runs right on top of that, so you might run a chance of cutting into something. So make sure you go underneath, look where you're cutting first. Luckily, behind here, there's a transmission. You do want to go through this, but you don't want to stick through it too much. So if you can just, with a grind wheel, small grind wheel, cut through, you run less of a chance of hitting anything. Okay? Be smart. Check before you cut. All right, let's cut this pig. That is why you wear face protection. So what I did here was kind of make like a little relief cut, so I didn't have to fight to get this piece started. We're going to start air chiseling up. What you might need to do is chisel up, get to the point where the metal is just so cumbersome, you cut it off, start fresh, and just keep working your way forward. So let's do that now. Passenger side, much easier than driver's side. So I just put the other panel, the new panel back in as a test fit. Obviously it's not welded in or nothing, but yeah, this will do just fine. This will definitely do just fine. What I'm going to have to do is I'm going to test this spot here. Definitely got to patch this and just check anything else that might be standing out. But yeah. So luckily enough, the rear panel, which I ordered after the front two panels, came in. So now I'm able to use this to kind of butt up against the new panel and start figuring out how I want to put this. Now, I'm going to do the same type of approach with the rear panel. I'm going to go ahead and try to get it sitting down as flush to the ground as I can and trace out, and then once again cut about 1 inch short on everything. But there is a thing to kind of keep in mind. This stud here that sticks up through the floor, this is for your seat to bolt down to. This adds a little bit of complexity to it, but what I like to do, or what I've had good success with, is push it against your sill as much as you can, butt it up against where you want to put your panel, and let's see, just want to make sure I'm good here. Make sure you're good everywhere you want to go, and then get a general idea where it is, the stud, right around here. Then, so now what I've done is created a little divot on the bottom of the pan. I'm going to go ahead and bore this hole out. We're going to drill it out a little bit bigger than the actual stud itself. That way I have room to kind of play around. Next, what I'm going to do is just once again follow. I'm going to try to form this the best I can by putting weight on it, trace it out all the way around, and then go back with my grinding wheel and cut about 1 inch below the line that I make. That way, once again, I have metal to weld to. I'm going to lap weld it and give me a little bit of extra strength. So, yeah, I'm Joe Dirt. I'm digging it. Cutting this is exactly what you would do when you cut the front. Same thing, so just, that's what it is. So as you can see, this is a pretty big undertaking, which is ultimately why I've decided to break this repair up over multiple videos. So if you like what you've seen or you're interested in seeing more, consider subscribing and stay tuned for the next segment of the floor pan videos. And if you have any questions or comments, leave those down below, and thank you for watching.